Good evening and welcome to the Law Chamber, where legal matters are discussed from a Christian perspective. My name is Anita Delight Dankwa. I am your hostess, a lawyer, and I do hope that this program will be very educative and will help. So far we've been discussing a lot about your rights. Yes, and we've also discussed about the rights of some marginalized groups, including women, children, persons living with disability, persons living with HIV. We discussed all that. Now we want to discuss another area of law. Most people call it family law. I call it the relationship law, because this area discusses all the relationships we have in our society. And with this particular evening, we are going to discuss relationship before you get married. Before you say I do, what are the legal implications? On Monday, Consulting Room, that's our sister program, had this program, same program, but this time they looked at it from the medical perspective. So before you say I do, medically interpreted. If you are yet to watch it, please go to Hope Channel page on Facebook and watch it. It will help. It's very, very educative. So we are going to look at the legal aspect of it. We are live on all our social media handles. So please call that friend to call that friend to call that friend. Because most people make a lot of mistakes when it comes to boyfriend, girlfriend. What are some of the mistakes people are making? How do we correct those mistakes? And what's the way forward with it? When you look at Luke 14, 28 to 30, Luke 14, 28 to 30, it reads, "For which of you, intending to build a tower, does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it, lest after he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, the man began to build and was not able to finish." We are hoping that when we are done with this discussion, you'll be able to finish that relationship and finish it on a good note. So please, we'll be looking at the types of relationship. We'll be looking at the legal implication of it. We'll be looking at breach of promise to marry. If you're on social media, you know that there's one hot topic, breach of promise to marry. Then how to prepare adequately, legally, before you say I do to that gentleman or to that lady. And I have with me a learned senior colleague. She goes by the name Kezia Kenneth Azuma. She's a lawyer, more than 10 years experience at the bar, and she's into land law, employment law, and most importantly, family law. She's a partner at Light Associates Unlimited, a law firm. She's also a board member of FIDA Ghana. She's an executive member of the Christian Lawyers Fellowship Ghana. Yes, please. Lawyers, you have a Christian fellowship. We go to church. Most people will think that when we die, we're dying upside down. Please, we also go to church. Then she's also the rep for Christian Lawyers Fellowship in Africa. She's a co-founder of Light in Law Ministry. It's a ministry that ministers to the spiritual growth of young Christian lawyers. She is married and has over 13 years of experience. So that she's a lawyer, she's a partner with a law firm. One of her areas is family law, and she's also married. So by all means, she did boyfriend, girlfriend before she got married. So she's going to let us know much about that. Then we have one of my favorite pastors. This is the first time I've met him in person, but he's always been one of my favorite pastors because when he's often talking about relationship, I'll listen, Pastor, wait a minute too. My never catch a pastor so unji too. But with me being in this seat, I'll be able to say Pastor Minji too. This is Pastor Dr. Paul Kofi Edu-Sampa, Minister of the Gospel. He's the Director for Project and Family Ministries with the Southern Ghana Union Conference of SDA. He's a marriage counselor and has been married for over 30 years.
40.
Over 40 years. Hey!
I'll be 40 this June.
June! Congratulations!
Thank you.
40 years, please.
Standing ovation.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
40 years.
Yes, 40 years. 40 years is Hey,
Serious.
you're not even 40 years. Your age, Akasa, is not 40 years. Hey.
I am more than 40.
Hey, hey. So let's delve into it. Pastor, let me start with you.
Okay.
Pastor, before someone gets married, do you have to take it for granted that by almost the person will date, the person will go into a relationship? What are some of the relationships, and how do you explain these relationships?
I say good evening to our listeners. I have to say that you just cannot get up one day and go into marriage. You definitely have to see the one you loved and make approach towards applying for that relationship. One day I was having a seminar on this marriage issue, and I told the congregation and those present that, are you aware that in the Seventh-day Adventist teachings we accept courtship? And everybody was like, wow. Because I said it in Twi, I said, Mpratri in the Seventh-day Adventist. I said, yes, it's allowed. If you don't do that, you won't see the right person to marry. But in our case, the Mpratri ends at the hall, not in the chamber. And so you may have a partner, all right, but the relationship or you're dealing with him should end at the hall. As soon as you enter into the bedroom, you are doing something else that the church don't accept. And so we also add that you need to have a friend, of course, not for intimacy, but you should have that person as a friend. You may go out with him, but first you introduce yourself to both parents so that when you come in, they know whom you are and whom you are looking for. And don't hide things. Avoid sitting in the dark for discussion and things like that. And, love, actually, when we talk about love, it does not begin from the bedroom. It begins from keeping yourself, isolating yourself in that aspect, but make sure that you have enough time to study your partner. So that's what we know, actually.
Thank you so much. Nkezia, how many types of marriages do we have in Ghana? Generally, we have 3 types. You have the customary, we have the ordinance, and the Mohammedan. So my question is, as I asked Pastor, before someone will get married, the person will do boyfriend, girlfriend a little bit. If the person is doing boyfriend, girlfriend, and it doesn't end well, let's say a boy proposes to the girl, and then he breaks it off. He says, I'll marry you. Then he doesn't marry her. Does she have can he or she, it can be both ways, can any of them sue?
Yes, depending on the facts of the specific case. I want to first of all greet all your viewers and listeners. Now, when somebody says they will marry you, whether you are a man or a woman, there are some rights and responsibilities in every relationship. So we look at it from a contract point of view, and that once you have said yes to the person, you are under an obligation to behave in a particular way. So in some of the cases that we have read or studied, you find that one party, in anticipation of their marriage, buys certain things, presents certain things like the ring, the Bible. In the case of Afrifa and Class Peters, which is a case that every lawyer has read, where there was the exchange of ring and Bible for the anticipation of an ordinance marriage. And then the appellant continued to postpone, but he was having affairs outside of that relationship. The court held that the woman had the right to be compensated. The only problem is that you can't get any other benefit. You can't force the man or the woman to marry you because you have invested in their lives, because you've paid their school fees. In the case of Kofi and another lady, he paid the school fees of the lady. And then the lady, after the school, said she will marry him. So in that case, the court decided that he should compensate the man. for the school fees that he paid. So you will get all kinds of compensations like aggravated compensation, punitive, aggravated damages, punitive damages, and things like that. But you cannot force the person to marry you. So yes, depending on the specific facts, if you lost something as a result of somebody saying they will marry you, you lost something, you lost money, you lost opportunities to marry another person, and they keep postponing, they delay, or they marry someone else, and things like that, yes, you have a right. But there's also another remedy. I don't know whether we can just continue.
No, so I want us to delve a little bit more into this part.
Okay.
So it means that when someone says, I'll marry you, and the person gives something to show that indeed they are serious about marrying you, like a ring, a Bible, any token at all, and you do not marry the person can sue you for breach of promise to marry.
Exactly.
Because you fail to marry the person.
Yes, if the person invests in you, not just the ring and the Bible, like in the Afrifa and Class Peters. In other cases that we both know, people paid people's school fees. In other cases, people built sometimes houses together. People send the men to school, for example, and the man finishes school and says, you are not my class, or vice versa. The woman finishes school and says, you are a taxi driver. So there was an article I just read before I entered into the studio. The lady said the taxi driver was not her class, but he had educated her to the university level. So he has a right under the law to be compensated. So
it means you'll be compensated, but the court cannot force you to marry the person.
No.
But all that the law can do is to give you something in terms of damages, in terms of money.
Correct, damages, yes. But, you know, we don't have the remedies of specific performance, which is the marriage or injunction, or to stop the person from marrying. Because, of course, even when people are married,
yes,
and they come to court and say, I don't want to marry again, the court has a way of trying to see whether it can be resolved. They keep them apart for some time, depending on the facts of the specific case. And then after some time, they tell the other party that, we have begged the woman, she says no. Or we have begged the man. So in the same vein, this one too, the party who says they are tired cannot be forced, but you will be compensated. But the compensation will actually also depend on the extent of your investment.
So it means that depending on the particular case, a particular amount will be given.
Correct.
And how, in your experience, what's the highest amount you've heard of? I heard of, that's 85,200 and something. New Ghana cedis. What's the highest you have ever heard?
Oh, the case that I won was not really on point with the breach of promise to marry, but was where the people were in an informal marriage.
Okay.
And the man, after 17 years, said he will marry my client again.
Okay.
And then we went to court for quite a long time, but we got part of the house.
Pastor, Pastor is saying, oh, it's very, very important. But
because
sometimes,
you see, the court established that once the man had lived with her for a number of years, like 17, had 3 children, built a business, and built a house, and the fact that they were performing duties of married people, they held themselves out in the society as married. When there was a funeral in the man's background, the woman would go as wife. The man's family recognized her as wife. The woman's family also recognized the man as husband. So when somebody prominent died, they would send a drink to the man and stuff like that. The first point that the court established was that there was a marriage, however, informal. So you make our work difficult if you don't let them marry you. Because in that case...
Actually, this topic will be for next week. How valid is your marriage? Because there are lots of people who think they are married, but in reality, they are not married.
Yes.
So that one we'll talk about in next week.
So I'll just pause here.
Yes. And let's continue with the breach of promise to marry. So let's say, for example, someone says, I'll marry you, and the person changes their mind, and the person has good reasons to change their mind. Is that allowed?
Oh,
what
yes.
are some of the defenses?
The defenses are that you are not chaste.
So if the person is promiscuous,
going around.
If you're a girl, you are all around, or a boy, you are all around, the person can say, I'll not marry you again. And you can't sue the person.
Yes,
for
the
breach.
court will uphold it.
Okay.
If you have a very bad character, you're an abuser.
What is bad character? Okay.
For example, now that we have a lot of domestic violence issues coming up,
true.
She can say that I've been with you for 3 years, you've slapped me 3 times already, and then you are very verbally abusive. If we are supposed to discuss money, you are this way and that way. If she can establish it, you see, especially when you have physical abuse, which is commonest and establishable easily, the person is free. They get out. Then, if the person establishes that you are sick and the sickness is contagious, for example, HIV.
That's true.
Yes, or something that you have not disclosed.
Or the man is not functioning.
Correct.
Non-functional. So it means that if you are Uber and you realize that my man is not functioning, you can say, I don't worry you again.
So that one is the defense. Those kind of serious matters, they are defenses.
Okay. Pastor, what are some of the grounds that if a guy or a lady, let's say I come to you and say I want to marry this gentleman, and then I come back to you and I say I will not marry that gentleman, what would be some of the questions you'd be asking me, and what would be some of the answers if I give you, you'll be okay, you will say, okay, Anita, go your way?
Before I go into that, let me also say that the system that your learned friend came out with, the churches don't face it.
Okay.
See, if I decide to marry you and I keep you in waiting for some time, and at the end of it, I realize that we are not compatible, and so I decided to quit. You can't hold me responsible for anything. The application of love, by its own definition, is a sacrificial commitment towards the other party. So I have decided that whatever I will do to you, as soon as I open my mouth, I love you. I have committed myself to offer a sacrifice that will bring you up to my level. In the course of doing that, if you prevent me from doing it, putting obstacles here and there, I have the right to quit, and I have not done anything that damages you. The reason being, number one, we have not gone to the extent of having children or having sex. So we are apart, but we were preparing towards marriage. And so when we have not come together, we have not added our properties, we have not done anything, we have not given out issues and the rest. And therefore, when I say no, you don't have that legal right. I don't know, but
in terms of the church.
Yes, in terms of the church, you can't do anything to me because I haven't done anything to you. I have rather spent my money to educate you. I've put you into trade.
Okay, that one is a little different. But Pastor, look at it from a sense of a guy proposes to me. We are in a relationship. Obviously, there's no exchange there. But I've been in a relationship for, let's say, 7 years.
So we have a limit. That's what we have been telling the church, that courtship should be between 6 and 2 years. That's the best time for courtship. Anything above 2 years will lead into so many complications. So when you allow a guy to keep you in the church, and at the end of 2 years, he's still giving promises and it's not materializing, the best thing you have to do is to quit. Well, the end will be disastrous. That will be the broken heart, this, that, because, and eventually, he's also putting you in a very awkward position. Once the members, the boys or the girls in the church sees that you've been going out with this girl, then eventually the relationship doesn't come home. Mina Minkofa will be surplus. You see, somebody has used you, and of course, it could be that you have not Nothing happens. But because the mere fact that I've seen you guys, I mean, we go to retreats, you are together, we go to camp meetings, we see you walking around. He's registered. So when he says no, Mina Mingofa last one, I won't go.
Then that is a good basis for me to sue the person in our legal court. Well, so the church will not help me, but then I'll go to court and go and sue such a person. Or Pastor, I don't think you think we should settle this at home.
When they come to the court, I pray you sack them. Because looking at it, we have in the Bible in 1 Corinthians, I don't want to quote because I don't have the Bible around, but let me tell you, when you are not married in a church, in the book of Corinthians, you'll be asked to do certain things. Contain yourself to the activities of the church. Let you be found in the choir, in the singing band, in the ushers group, in the deacon council, and do something. When we organize prayer meetings, be there and pray spiritual. Now, the Lord will reward you. And men, of course, there are women in the church sometimes, they keep saying that, I don't get people from within the church. And so I have stayed for so long. It could be because of the way you dress. It could be because of the people you move with.
Pastor, that's a topic. Because let's say the woman is capable to wear what she wants to wear, decently, of course. But she's working. She earns money. She can drive a car. She can buy the heels. Why should that prevent? Wouldn't you then say that you are dealing with?
Let me give you a funny story. When I was in the secondary school, you know, I saw a lady that was in 1981. She was in my class, and I really loved her. I wanted to propose it, but the problem was that the father drives Hillman. You know Hillman car? You know it? Hillman.
No, I've heard.
Have you heard Cortina? It's a car. Ford Corsair, Olympia, Opel.
Those were the cars.
When we come to school and you come early, you see this girl's father dropping her from that Porsche car. Wow. And I compare that to where my mom is. And I asked myself, if I should go to visit this girl, they will open the hall, we'll sit there, they will open the fridge, serve me. And then the mother will excuse us so we can chat. But if she comes to my end, how will I receive her? In that kitchen pew or what? How will I receive her? So I advise myself that I won't go near her. Oh. Sometimes she had problems with her homework. I'll come early, do it for her. She'll be rubbing her hands around my
she's
shoulders.
Trying to show.
I can see it, but I'm afraid.
Oh,
because I'm poor.
Sorry, can we say when you were younger, you were a coward small?
Oh, I admit it, because I know where I was coming from. A very poor cocoa farmer son who has died. And so I have to be careful I don't create problems for the family.
Yeah.
So one day I met her and she said, Paul. I said, yes. She said, you did it. I said, what did I do? She said, you did it. And I quickly remember what she
understood.
And so she said, you gave me all the chance for me to say something, but I couldn't. I couldn't because I know my background. Yeah. You see, so sometimes when we look at your dress, it is not something that is provoking, but we compare our pockets with what we are seeing. It could even be that those things that you are wearing is not that expensive.
Boutique, bend down.
I don't know where you're bringing it from, so I'll compare myself. Hey, can I take care of this woman? And eventually push many of the men off. So these are some of the problems.
So our ladies,
it's very unfortunate.
But our gentlemen, please step up. Kezia, let me ask this question. So let's say, for example, we are in a relationship and then the relationship is no more. But I have something with the guy or the guy has something with the lady. Can the person go back for it? So let's say the ring, the Bible, I've given you a house, I've given you a car. Can I retrieve my gifts? Because now you say you don't marry me. So legally, can I retrieve my gifts?
Oh, if it is just a gift,
Chai.
Then I don't think it is retrievable. If it's just a gift, because in the course of the relationship, a lot of exchanges take place. Especially you and I know that some people take the relationships to different levels, which is what entitles them to certain high gifts like a car. Because nobody who has not paid too much price will give you a car.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So let's make. So it means that let's say you give me a gift and you give me a car on my birthday. Okay. It wasn't because you asked me to marry. That's why you're giving me that gift. It's because of my birthday. So you can't take that gift back. No, however, if you give me the gift because you are saying that because you are going to get married, get this car so that you be mobile. Yes. But the minute you not marry me again, then you give me back my car so I can retrieve back that car.
I think that for every case, it is case by case. Okay. The circumstances of the gifts, the expectations of the gifts, the anticipations, you see.
So if it is in relation
there's a need for reciprocity, if the gifts were because of the marriage proposal and the performance of the contract.
Then that one.
If those were the underlying reasons for the gifts, then you can go to court and say,
take it back.
I gave her Mercedes so and so because I was lifting her status to mine. Now that she doesn't want to come into my status, Papa, give me my car.
But when
because
you
sometimes
gifts,
not only the women who there are some men who take advantage of very rich women, collect the things from them, use them. They say, I don't want. Then they go and marry whatever class. So the woman can say, I brought you up to Mercedes Benz. And
so you go back to your Toyota.
So give me my best.
So
when they come to court and they prove that the Mercedes Benz was understandably towards the preparation for raising standard, or the 2-bedroom house that you are now occupying was funded by the lady, and she has documentations to prove. The court will collect it for her, or the court will share it, whichever way. Because sometimes the court will look at who was doing the rounds.
So it means that when you're giving someone a gift, Valentine gift, birthday gift, and the relationship doesn't work, don't now go back. I'm taking back those gifts. You can't take back those gifts, all things being equal. But if you are giving the gift because of the relationship in terms of marriage, then you can take those gifts back. So please make that decision. It's very, very important. Because some people give gifts and they go like, I gave the person this, like, I'm going back for. You're going back for what? It was a birthday gift. It was a Valentine Day gift. It's a gift. It's good. So Katawenina Twaso. So let me ask this question also. We have the Impna Awarie.
The informal marriages.
Yes. So sometimes you are with the girl is with the guy and they've been together for a while. They cohabited. It's not as if they married, they cohabited for a while. And some ladies or some gentlemen really make properties together.
Yes.
And now they are going their separate ways. And I have one classic case right now where the lady says that I helped the guy get the land and build. There is no record whatsoever that shows that the lady gave the guy those monies to build. And all the papers, all the documents are in the guy's name.
The lady would lose because, you see, it now goes into like relationship stroke land law matter. So you would have to prove when you gave the money, where, at what point. You have to prove how you contracted the workers and things like that. So by all means, when you are putting your money in such places, keep a record. Me, for example, there are some things when I'm paying for them, I use bank transactions. I use mobile money transactions because I want a trail. E-levy or whatever will not stop me from doing that. I want a trail. I want evidence that at this point, I transferred this money to this person's account. So I can use it as a basis to deal with you when something happens. Yes, this is free legal advice. If you want relationship,
when they come to your office, they'll be paying 6,000 for it. But please, it's free. For now, it's free.
When you are in a relationship with someone and you are transferring money for all kinds of things, let there be a record. Even when you have a difficult wife and you are transferring money for chop money, let there be a record. Because one day, she will come and say, you never did, you never did. And if you have a difficult husband too, let there be a record. I mean, it's because of the way our lives have become. As for Pastor, he's talking about the church and how the church will not pursue certain things. Me too, I'm a Christian, but here I'm supposed to do law. So please, let there be records of every transaction you are making, even in the Mpenawaria, because some of the Mpenawarias have children. You see? But the children don't lose their right. We are not yet there. You see, they don't lose their rights because you decided that you will not marry. But if you are not careful, you will lose the properties because you didn't keep any record of.
But my question is, why you are just dating? Why make properties together? No. Because one trend I'm seeing right now, the cases I'm getting, and one trend I'm seeing is that the lady will come to you and tell you that the guy says that he wants to have certain things before he will marry. So he wants to at least have a 3-bedroom and have a fridge somewhere. And the woman to say, oh, then let me help you get those things so that we can marry. And then they'll help them get those things. And then the man says, I'll not marry again. And the woman has no record of helping. So the question is, where are the men getting this legal, in quotes, idea that, because before marriage, you are not entitled to anything. if you are married and a person gets the property, we'll get to the subsequent
later.
weeks. When you are married and you get the properties together, that one you're entitled to at least, all things being equal, 50%. But if you are not married and you don't have record, you lose everything. So why make properties together in the first place?
So the church is saying that instead of spending on the person, make sure that the relationship is rather established first. So that if I want to put you into trade, say you want to do hairdressing or you want to do this seamstress something, I first of all have to think about the relationship. You tell me you are going to school and so we can marry now, that's fine. But then I have to see your parents and arrange with my marriage, procedure so that I can have you as a wife. Because many a times the issues that you are bringing up is mostly the fault of the men, because they will say certain things that will make the woman contribute. But on the other side, there are men who are also crying bitterly for sponsoring people, taking care of them. They get to a stage and then they throw them off and they are not my class, you see. So sometimes our ladies are also guilty of this. But the church stand always protects both. That don't make properties when you are not married. You can go out, you can study, but don't, contribute to these things, because eventually it is not established. When we are at the altar to pronounce you marriage, we ask if there are people there who have anything that they think when we join the two of you, it is not going to be this thing. So we have to either get confirmation from the congregation that we can go ahead with the marriage. Then the pastor will come back to the two of you and he will say, I ask and I judge you both as you will answer on the day of judgment. If there is any impediment, let me know. And if that is known at that particular moment, the pastor cannot proceed with the marriage. So eventually you have lost everything. That's why the church is saying that until the marriage is established, don't actually involve yourself in these contributions here and there.
So before we go for a short break, let me, from our Facebook page, that's Hope Channel Ghana, we are live there. Abeku Iben Born Great says, I'm with you from the central region. Yes, Abeku, we can see you. Iman Daniel Ado says, interesting. Christabel Oforiwa say, she says, Nana Asa. Hey. Isaac Owusu Crusader says, I'm really enjoying the show, learning more. Christabel comes back to say, Pastor Nie Porsche car. Brakweku says, if the gift is an expensive one, then you must take back your thing. You can't go and use my gift with a different person. If the gift you gave is not related to the marriage, Valentine, birthday, you can't take it back. Please be very weak. Councillor Frimpong wants to say, record keeping, dear. It's very, very important. Then we have Ni Ashite Arnold say, sometimes you don't keep records. Oh. And Linda Opokua Baby is also saying she's watching us. And then we have Bra Kwame saying that please watch out, both ladies and gentlemen. Let's go for this short commercial break. And when we come back, we'll talk about the children of the marriage, what happens to them, and the properties, what happens to them. Stay right here with us.
Saturday, 28th May 2022 is Hope Channel Offering Day in all Seventh-day Adventist churches in Southern Ghana Union.
Swomo May, Jamaica May, Kasafumbi Fan, Hope Channel, Mindani Sibabao, ye modeni nye bo, akeje ba wame, mekume jeshishi, sheshenkebu, ni keji wabafata here. Le Hope Channel le bon wota wole ke noyanu wota wone ba bonini bi ba hwere ni sande kpakpa ba ya mo fe mo ngo e ba bale nakan fata mo he mi huma fata he.
We believe God is going to use you to accomplish great things to his glory through Hope Channel, and therefore the invitation comes right and directly to you.
Let's all donate generously so we can purchase an outside broadcast van to help share God's good news to change lives. Hope Channel Ghana, we are here to communicate a refreshing God to a thirsty generation.
Nia onyankopon hwehwa ne se onipa bia bedi yie e wasase so. Eno ti adwuma bia wo ye no, wo hia ho nimdie ene nkyerɛkyerɛ papa. Mpanifo se sanwa beba kontomre enkwan ani a na eginemu nam so. Eno nti na Hope Channel edi dwumadi a ye frɛ ne se Business Forum abrewo. Ya wada nwumre no nwotwe bia ne kyerɛ 8 pm. Hia me na nakwa misika. Me ne mpanimfo a wa ben no wadɔ sukɔ e wo sikasɛmu. Adwadie mu ene enwuma mu besi nkonya ne ama nkyerɛkyerɛ papa a ɛbɛboa na nso watimi atumpɔn piao.
I'm back and unte shekra no what to say worry ya now o chimp na sebio making sure say oni pane enye japade oni ni pane ye japade making sure so we keep records of bibia because when keep records of bibia na ni pane di na properties ne so nia na to asase na sit down na we oja we no ano no unya hwe ina say oni obi so ye madu so me worry now money car say gift the birthday no man Valentine on a car no akosi diamond no now I see amare say all things being equal no a gift untimi nje mfini nsemu biom unless it's a property no the man no if he say now I wadwen so be worry no nti me worry unti gi asase we ni enya nsi dan wo so on the obetimi age gift back benye sad ya remember say untimi nje gift back nti ye discussion say ye so far no ye say before be worry no legally no sanyemo we ni age so this is akwemu answer wow in a spiritually no so no ye hwe ehun sa me ever say for example you are dating someone and you have a child with the person says I will not marry you again, what happens to the child? Kezia?
Oh, the child has legal rights to both parents under the Children's Act.
Okay,
so you won't marry her again doesn't mean you won't educate that child. It doesn't mean you won't name the child. It doesn't mean you won't maintain the child. It doesn't mean
what does maintain mean?
I will come there. It doesn't mean the necessaries of life of the child will be affected because of an issue with the mother or the father, both ways. Now, the law says that the child has a right to be named. Some people get so angry that even the naming they don't do. They will bring you to the family court. The court will make an order. You will name.
If you like or you don't like, you name the child.
You will name the. We will give you a date for naming and the venue. Then you will come and name the child. Whether you like it or not, that's the first point. Because that's where they start the arguments from. I don't name him. And if you have issues with the paternity of the child, voila, you can come and do DNA. Our DNAs are usually done internationally. But even though we have some very good hospitals in Ghana that are doing well, some of us don't trust our Ghanaian system yet. So we still order that DNAs are done from South Africa and other places. And it is very sacrosanct. So you can test whether or not that child that you claim you don't want to name, you don't want to look after, is your child. Those are the issues, you see. Then, when it comes to maintenance, maintenance means every day the child will eat. The child will dress. The child will need necessaries of life, medicine and other things. School. Where to live, the educational fee. That one is different from the maintenance. So the court will order you. But you see, the catch here is that there's a Supreme Court decision that says that the maintenance of the child is the responsibility of both parents. So where some women feel that they can have children and it's only the man, please stop, revise your notes. Once you have decided to keep that child, you're supposed to know that you would have to bear some of the cost of looking after the child. However, because we are still a patriarchal society, the men bear more. They pay the school fees, they rent for the child, they bear more. You see, but you see when the court says, give thousands of this per month for the child, and the man doesn't bring it, and the child is with you, you should know that you should find the food first. Then come and pursue your feast.
So it means that even though you don't marry the man or you don't marry the woman, the child, you have responsibilities towards the child.
The child must never be affected. In fact, the law says that the best interest of the child must be protected. So when we take those kind of cases to court, the court just looks at the two parties and separates them like this and said it is the child we are looking at. Then they start writing the orders. And there are no mercies in those courts at all.
When it comes to children, the court really protects the child.
Yes.
So we have Kojo Kotor Daniels. He says some great enlightenment there. Joseph Nati, Nachu, no. Ernest Ewusi says, please, what happens when the parties are married traditionally and in ordinance, and the man has sacked the woman and brought in another woman? What happens because they have 3 kids, they built a house together, and the man didn't have a house when they got married? Don't worry, this topic will be for next week. Next week we are going to talk about marriages itself, and then the next 2 weeks we're going to talk about divorce. So please listen.
Let them report this case to FIDA.
So yeah, FIDA or let's say DOFSU. So just go to any police station. There's a DOFSU office in there. Just go and report to DOFSU. But next week, next 2 weeks, we'll be delving very much into married life and then the properties involved. And then we have Kojo Koto again says, please repeat that point again. Now the ladies have cheated us too much. Benjamin Bafo Ampon. Pastor, he has a question. He says, is it advisable for a man to finance a lady's education after making the intention of marrying her?
No, it's not just the intention. Move forward, maybe a knocking, and then let the parents be aware. And
no, marry her first.
Marry her first, that's what I mean. Make a knocking, go ahead and do that as traditional one. Even if you want to do a wedding and you think you are not prepared at that time, do the traditional one. Traditional one is very simple and not that expensive.
Hey, nowadays.
It is not, unless you want to tell the family that you are there. You can have a traditional marriage, and then the family knows that that's your wife. And so from then on, you can sponsor her so she can be what you want her to be. Otherwise, it's a mistake to go into the sponsorship without, fully grabbing her in law. As Madam was saying.
Yes. Nana Boamasi, Pastor, our time is different from your time. No trust. Isaac Owusu Crusader, what happens to a relationship which mistakenly bring up unplanned baby by the interest of getting married? Okay, so now we've dealt with that one. Okay, so now let's deal with properties.
Okay.
So you are in a relationship, it didn't work out, but you have properties together. What happens?
That one, you must be able to prove that you contributed together to own the properties. So you can just institute a civil action.
What does it mean?
If you don't want to go through the breach of promise to marry route, there are 2 routes. You can say breach of promise to marry, and then you sue, and then plead that in the course of this relationship we acquired property A, B, C, D. And I want my part, you see. I remember when I was with my senior, we did a case like that, just that our client didn't pursue it.
Most women are afraid because if she or he, especially she's, if she sues the guy that breach of promise to marry, and then she even succeeds, which guy will come again? Everyone will be afraid that this girl, if you don't marry her, she'll sue you.
This Jezebel woman.
This was not a breach of promise to marry case. It was a case of, I built with you. We are in a concubinage. You have decided that you will not marry me, so let me collect half of my property.
Okay.
And that woman had records.
Wow.
She lived in the UK. The relationship was a very long one, and things like that. But at a point, I don't know what happened to her. The man started telling her, scratching her head.
That when it comes to love,
then she didn't come for us to complete it. But once you have records, you can just, that's why I say civil action. Your name versus the name of the man, or the name of the man versus the name of the woman. At this point, I entered into a relationship with this person. At this point, I paid money for this purpose. These are the record. This is that. This is that. On this date, we built 2 houses. On another date, we built another one. And we have 6 flats together.
Keep records.
So I think that the contributions, no, if I put my records together, I am entitled to 70% of the property. He is entitled to 40 or 60 or 30 because he brought the land or he brought ABCD or he brought workmen. Or, so if you plead like that, the court will look at it, and because you are proving by your records, they will share it. Even if they decide that they will do 50-50 sharing or whatever. By all means, you won't go empty-handed. You see, because most of the time, the property is in the name of one person. Sometimes, the mistake is that the properties are in the names of the family members of one party.
Yes.
For example, a man meets you and says, let's do our life together. Let's build on my mother's land. Let's build on my father's land.
Hey.
Or a woman meets you and says, my father has given me this land, so come and help me build. She's the woman. She tells you, my father has given me this land. The property is in the name of her father.
That one is for next 2 weeks.
But
you give a little,
These are the things that happen on every day basis.
Every day.
So then they finish putting up the house. Then the lady starts flexing because she has a house. Because
the law will tell you that he who owns the land owns everything on the land.
Correct.
So if someone
come and take your building out.
Yes, that's the worst case. So it's my land. You have built. You say you want your building. Come and take your building.
The worst case is that the court will compensate you. But you see, you need to keep record even for that compensation to happen.
Yeah.
Otherwise, because she will go to court and lie.
And they'll be crying.
Yes.
And they're crying, pastor. What you see there?
See, if you stick to the church principles, you will not involve yourself in all this.
That's true.
The church will tell you,
pastor, you love the man, and the man is in school and can't pay the school fees.
You are misplacing your love.
The man can't pay the school fees.
The man is not your husband.
But he's my man. I love him.
So use love, link it with that thing.
Common sense.
Common sense. Don't go to that extent. He can deceive you bitterly, and before you realize, you have messed up, and all your efforts have been in vain. Yeah. The church is saying that until he marries you, don't go into bed with him. The church is saying that don't bring properties together because he is not yet your husband. Now, if you keep to those principles, you will not involve yourself in all this.
And so if you think you are going to do those things, you're going to build with a person, you are going to give this person this money
joint
for chop one, joint account to that one too, joint account and all that. Know that, have it in mind, say, I'm doing for free. So that when the person is leaving and the person is living with the thing, you will not be hurt. You see, you can really say, oh, this person, I like the person. I want to help the person. So you can help the person. But if you are helping the person because the person will marry you, and the person doesn't marry you, trouble. So please, let's take notes. Then we have we have a lot of messages. Kojo. Okay, so we have Benjamin Bafuampon says, is it advisable for a man to finance a lady's education after making the intention of marrying her? Okay, then we have, please repeat that point again. And the lady, Kojo Kontoy Daniel say, next week is really packed. I'm already there. next week is going to be an interesting one, trust me. Councillor friend Paul Manson, she says, please, I wish this discussion is brought down to the members in the hinterland. So some women are suffering, and that is true. Most often than not, we are hoping to educate people and we are hoping to get down there. Please, as you hear us, please help advise the others. Then we have Daniel Bediakon Kwabna is watching us, and next year we'll see. Please, can Auntie Kezia give out her contact? Yes, she will. Don't worry, very soon. Councillor Frimpong again says, they will make the women work on their cocoa farms all their lives and come to town to marry fair and beautiful. Hey, yeah, Simone, that's true. A man helped his wife to upgrade herself, and when she graduated, she divorced her husband, saying he was not his type because she's more educated than her husband. In this case, what happens? This one day they are married, it says the husband.
Okay.
But she's divorced the husband. That she wants to move on.
There was a decision in one of the African countries where upgrading of your partner's level. If, for example, me when I married, I was not a lawyer. So my husband paid my law school fees. I say it everywhere. And I'm grateful for that, you see. And I've also supported him. He's gone up to a certain level that I don't want to disclose as of now.
That's okay.
You get it? So the levels that you bring each other to are levels that you can claim on if the person says they are divorcing you. You don't lose. Correct.
That was supposed to be a joke.
So you met a Form 4 leaver. You brought him up to PhD level. Then suddenly he meets some small girl and he wants to throw you out. Don't worry. You will go to court and say, when I met him, he was in one boxer short. He was in one bedroom. And I've helped him to build ABCD. I've helped him to do this and that and that and that. You see, so don't just be there and try to be dealing with people anyhow. You know, I mean, consider the investments the man has made and the woman has made. And just be at peace. If there are issues, resolve it. I'm not saying that I'm an advocate for people to break up. Just that what the law will do to you is what I'm teaching on this platform. Yeah. But I believe so much in marriage, and I'm saying that. Calm down. The man is doing some things you don't like. Report him to a few people, because that's what the Bible says. That somebody does something you don't like. First talk to him. Then report him to the church. Then go up. Before you start treating him like an unbeliever. I don't know the extent to which the thing has gone. If the violence is not physical, madam, slow down small. And stop saying he's not your standard, he's not your type, and this and that. It's not good.
So,
slow down.
You see, today we are discussing before marriage, before you say I do right. So, subsequently, we'll discuss the marriage. You didn't discuss hope.
But don't you collect somebody's investment, when you have not married them. You have collected his investment, and he has paid things into your life. Or sometimes you see the women who have sponsored their guys. She's selling things in market and sending you to Legon. Sending you to US, sending you to Kevas. Then you finish and you say you have met a Kevas girl. So now that lady doesn't qualify. In fact, if we say we were going to give examples, we have too many examples of both the men and the women collecting the monies of either parties, sponsoring themselves. Then once he attains a certain level, he suddenly sees that the lady is not qualified.
So it means that all things being equal, if you don't put in place the right structures to really prove that you really helped the person, you are helping the person in vain.
Correct.
You're not getting anything. So we have Godfred Emmanuel. He's watching us live from Italy. Missy Josie Levada, I hope I've mentioned the name, is watching us as well. Ekuya Asantua, this is a very educative program. Kudos to Hope TV. Hey, kudos to Hope. Paul R.K. Sabla, that's my elder, watching you live. And Nana Ekuya Mensima, oops, I missed it. Don't worry, you can watch it. Just go back and watch it. Nana Ekuya, don't worry, you can always watch it. So, final words. No, Pastor, before final words. So if someone wants to get married, what are some of the processes someone has to go through before they will get married? Through our church means. Because I always hear home and family life. They are not family. You see, marriage is between families. Where does the church come in and mandatorily home and family life, and other than that you can't marry? Pastor, help us with that one.
Well, let me also say that, you know, what we are discussing today, if you really belong to the church and you go by your Bible principles, you will not be entangled with these problems. For instance, let's say that we say that when we want to define a broken home, okay? A broken home is a home where the couple each could identify what he or she contributed into the relationship. See? So if you have a car and you got married, and you often keep saying, "Fami casa for no mami," you are bringing things that will break the relationship because you don't own a car again. Sometimes when I'm doing premarital counseling, it's about a week or two to the time of the marriage. I ask the lady, "Do you own anybody before the date we are setting?" So, I have some debt to settle with microfinance. Then I tell the gentleman, "Do you know that on the day, an hour after that day, that debt is your debt?" So for this, I can't answer. You can't run away from that because everything becomes the two of you. So you don't separate that I contributed this, I contributed that. From the legal point, you said they should keep records. But in that case, you don't even go there because you don't own anything. Everything there belongs to the two of you.
Parties.
And we don't expect to put any of you apart. You must remain until death do us part.
Amen.
You see, so that is the thing. Now, when we say you want to go into marriage, first of all, you be introduced to both parents. For instance, you would take me to your parents, and I would take you to my parents. And then the discussion starts from there. Then the next stage, when we move a while and we think we are compatible, we can come together, then we officially inform the church. Now, we do inform the church because we need to find out if you are not somebody's girlfriend or somebody's boyfriend who eventually will bring some problems to the relationship. So the Home and Family Life will tell you, give us some 3 months to do a background check on both of you. And they will do that just to help the two of you. Because on the day of the wedding, a question will be posed that if there's anybody in the congregation who knows 1 or 2 reasons why the two may not be lawfully joined together, you have to see that now. And somebody who could raise his hand. One day there was a wedding in Odoko, or one of these churches there, and the question was posed and somebody raised his hand. And then...
I thought that those questions are rhetorical questions. Someone is supposed
No, we have to ask. Because when he raised the hand, they called the singing band to sing, and they marched the couple and the officiating ministers to the vestry to go and find out why the hand was up. And the guy said that lady was his girlfriend, and that he had an issue with the lady, a baby boy, and he keeps looking after the baby. So he doesn't understand why the lady should marry another man. That day, it turned into a fight, free for all. The family of the lady came up on the gentleman. If somebody has given himself to you or herself to you, and you've not performed the rites of marriage, that person is not your wife. So you cannot claim anything. The baby is yours.
Yes.
That's okay, but not the woman. And so it turns into a fight, and we have to come in to bring the situation under control. And the lady have to be put into a taxi with a wedding gown and everything, and took her away from the site. Very shameful act. Eventually, we have to do underground checks, and
to be sure.
and the man was really punished. I personally followed him to his office, got him, and I told him it was the mistake of the woman to give herself to such a man like you. I warned him.
Pastor, my time is almost up.
Yes. So those are the things that you have to do. You have to be introduced to both the family life. We check the background of both of you so that you don't mess up in the church. And then eventually you are handed over to a counselor for a period, and then
you get married.
Get married.
So for your own sake, please involve the church. Christabel, for you and Nana Santi, today's program is today people are Joseph Nati says very educative. Isaac Owusu Crusader, that's Home and Family Life thing, and you see how some elders and ministers can boldly say that without their consent you cannot marry, The church must wake up and say that one. Someone, the pastor can say, I'll not allow you to marry.
That's not possible. You see, all we are doing is to counsel you. When you insist, if you even want to marry from outside the church, and we tell you the consequence of your actions, and you say, well, I still want it that way, the church don't have that right to stop you. You can
Nana Ikremensama, please, so I have a question. I'm not an Adventist. Can I marry a man who is an Adventist? Is there anything you do or have to do before you become an Adventist before I can marry him?
Do you want me to answer this?
Yes, a fast one.
Yes, I will try. You see, if you want to marry an Adventist and you check from the Bible, there's no place in the Bible where couple can be separated. Do you understand? If you look at the 10 Commandments that access to worship on the Sabbath, the commandment treats the couple as one body, one person. Remember the Sabbath, singular, and keep it holy, singular. And then he started mentioning your son, your daughter, your maid servant, your manservant. You even talk about strangers in your house. Did you check from that whether you saw your husband or your spouse there? Because in the understanding of the Bible, the two of you have become one. So on the Sabbath, when you sit in the church and your wife sells in Carnation Market, who is selling during the worship? Who is selling there? That's why the church is saying that consider all this. And so if you want to marry a non-Adventist, we are not saying no. We are saying give your Jesus and your faith to the man or to the woman. And then when he accepts your Christ, give yourself unto the person.
Please, you call the our number, the Hope Channel number. Any question you have, we'll link you up with Pastor and have more discussion on this. Daniel says, Pastor, on my wedding day, please skip that part of the question. No, that one they have to skip it, Pastor. What is the church stance on prenups? So quickly, prenups. Okay, the church stance. So, Pastor, prenups. Prenups is more of we come into an agreement that okay, all my property and everything is for me. When we divorce, we will not share. Yours is yours, mine is mine. You don't touch mine.
Our church don't do that. What we normally do is grown-ups who have families. Maybe you've lost your husband, you've lost your wife, and we are bringing you together. That is when this prenups comes in. But if you are starting life afresh, we don't treat you that way.
Pa Kwame Ado says they can be married, although it has its issues. Get in touch with him. So please, if you have any questions and about you not being an Adventist, but you want to marry an Adventist, the replication, everything, please get in touch on the number on your screen, and we'll link you up with Pastor. Kaiser, your final words in a minute, less than a minute. My time is up.
My final words are that relationship is beautiful. Marriage is very beautiful. Don't go in with a mind to dupe the other party, and go with a very free mind. If you want to invest in the person, make sure you are keeping record. Otherwise, live life freely, love with all your heart, do your best, and you'll be fine.
Okay. Pastor, my time is up. But Pastor, Ofori Kingsley Brandford says, what advice do you have for the youth with regards to marrying from the church? So that will be your concluding words. Okay. What advice for the youth?
We want to advise that they take their time and abstain from sexual intimacy and keep the relationship that they want to marry in future in a very open atmosphere. The life and the character of a woman, even if you court with her for 10 years, a decade, you will still not know everything about her. And so you take your time, so you will not be committed to. Some of the men will marry a woman because they have been going out already. So eventually when he realizes the disadvantages of that relationship, he cannot pull back because he's already committed himself to the relationship. And so we have to, by all means, at all costs, get married. And that's where we start the problems.
Pastor, will you want to put your number out there? And
as well? Yes, okay. I can do that. Okay. Can I do that now? Yes, please. My contact number is 0242 538 682. 0242 538 682. Kezia,
your number.
0244 580 842. 0244 580 842.
Ata Kwachiwa says interesting topic, bless up. Philip Entry says insightful topic, God bless you all. Joshua Mario says watching from Namibia, very helpful indeed. To conclude, please, if you are yet to marry someone, know that any investment you make, all things being equal, you are doing it for God. And if you don't intend to do it for God, as in for free, make sure that you keep records. When you promise someone, especially the men and women who go around, I'll marry you, and you don't marry the person can sue you for breach of promise to marry. And the person can take a lump sum of money from you. And finally, if you are not even married to the person, but you have a child with the person, that child is your responsibility. Make sure you take care of that child. Otherwise, Dobsu and the court will take you up on it. Proverbs 11:40 says, where there's no counsel, the people fall. But in the multitude of counselors, there's safety. Talk to your pastors, talk to your lawyers, and make very informed decision. So same time, 6:30 p.m. next week, Thursday, we'll be discussing how valid is your marriage. You think you are married? Trust me, you might not be married at all. And you are going to marry, what are some of the things you have to make sure it's in place so that your marriage become a valid one in the eyes of the law? Stay safe and please God be with you. Until next week, it's adieu from us.